Have you ever thought you knew someone only to discover you were dreadfully wrong? Let's take a stroll down memory lane and meet our protagonist, a young woman named Sarah. She's bright, vivacious, and believes she's found the man of her dreams. Picture this: the laughter, the shared dreams, the stolen kisses. It all seemed too good to be true. His charm, his wit, his uncanny ability to know exactly what she needed, when she needed it. It was a whirlwind romance, the kind that sweeps you off your feet and leaves you breathless. It was a love story that seemed to be ripped straight from the pages of a fairy tale. But as we all know, fairy tales aren't real, and every story has two sides. And Sarah, oh Sarah, she was about to discover he was not the man she thought he was. It all began with a missing earring. That's how these stories often start, isn't it? A misplaced trinket, a forgotten item, an anomaly that doesn't quite fit into the perfectly curated puzzle of our lives. For Sarah, it was an earring, a small, inconspicuous piece of jewelry, lying there in the heart of their home. It was a beautiful piece, delicate and finely crafted with intricate details that made it stand out. But here's the thing, it wasn't hers. She examined the earring, turning it over in her hands, her mind racing as she tried to place it. She'd never seen it before, never worn it. It was entirely foreign to her. Yet, there it was, nestled among their belongings, as if it had always belonged there. Sarah tried to brush it off, attempted to convince herself it was a mistake. Perhaps it was a gift she'd forgotten about, or something she'd picked up by accident. After all, life is full of little mysteries, isn't it? But no matter how much she tried, she couldn't shake off that gnawing feeling of unease, the seed of doubt that had been planted deep within her. She found herself questioning, doubting, wondering. Was it really a mistake, or was it something more? A sign, a warning, a clue to a puzzle she didn't even know she was a part of? The more she thought about it, the more she realized that this wasn't just about the earring. It was about trust, about the life she'd built, the man she thought she knew. As the days turned into weeks, the earring became a symbol, a constant reminder of the questions that kept her up at night. Each glance at it was like a prick to her heart, a silent whisper of the uncertainty that now clouded her once clear world. But little did she know, this was just the beginning. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. Then the late-night phone calls started. The echoes of hushed whispers, a symphony of secrets, filled their once serene home. It was as if the moonlight that stretched through the cracks of their curtains bore witness to a man she no longer knew. His once familiar laughter was now replaced with a silence that hung heavy in the air, a silence that screamed louder than any spoken word. More than once, she found him in the dimly lit corners of their home, his voice barely above a whisper, his words drowned in a symphony of uncertainty. The rhythm of his life seemed to be offbeat, and she could feel the harmony they once shared slipping through her fingers like grains of sand. Then there were the unexplained absences. His side of the bed, cold and untouched, told a tale of many sleepless nights. The empty chair across the dinner table became a ghostly reminder of his constant disappearances. Each forgotten appointment, each missed dinner date, was a puzzle piece that didn't fit, a thread in the woven tapestry of their life that began to unravel. The misplaced items in their home told an even stranger story. Objects of unknown origin began to appear, as if they were breadcrumbs leading her towards a truth she was not ready to face. A necklace that wasn't hers, a book in a language she didn't understand, a mask that seemed to have been crafted from nightmares. Each one was a silent testament to a life she was not a part of, a life that was hidden from her. The confrontation was inevitable. The questions poured out of her, an avalanche of confusion and hurt, but his answers, his explanations, they were like smoke, slipping through her fingers, leaving her with more questions than answers. He spun tales of work stress, of forgotten errands, of lost time. But the more he spoke, the more she felt a cold dread creeping up her spine. His answers didn't soothe her worries, they fueled them. Because deep down she knew something was terribly wrong. If only she knew, the truth was far more terrifying. One night she saw something she could hardly believe. There was an eerie silence hanging in the midnight air, a silence that was so profound it was almost palpable. Sarah, our brave heroine, had been suspicious of her partner for some time, but nothing could prepare her for the shocking spectacle she was about to witness. In the stillness of that cold, dark night, he began to change. It was not a subtle shift, but a gut-wrenching transformation that shook her to her very core. His once endearing features contorted, twisted, and warped into something grotesque, something monstrous. His eyes, once filled with warmth and love, now glowed with a chilling, inhuman light. His skin, once soft to the touch, now hardened and turned a ghastly shade of gray. His body, once familiar and comforting, now towered over her, its form monstrous and terrifying. Sarah was paralyzed with fear, her heart pounding like a war drum in her chest. She wanted to scream, to run, to hide, but she was frozen, her eyes locked onto the terrifying spectacle unfolding before her. This was not the man she had fallen in love with. This was not the man she thought she knew. This was something else entirely. The confusion swirling in her mind was matched only by her terror. She struggled to make sense of what she was seeing. Was this a dream? A nightmare? Or was this the harsh reality? She had to pinch herself to make sure she wasn't dreaming. Fear turned into panic, panic into terror. She felt her sanity slipping away, her world crumbling around her. Her partner, her lover, her rock, was not the man she thought he was. In fact, he was not a man at all. As the transformation completed, a chilling realization hit her. This was not a one-time event, a freak occurrence. This was her life now, a life filled with horror and uncertainty. She was trapped in a living nightmare, a horror story that was all too real. But the horror was just beginning. She knew she had to escape, but how? Sarah was caught in a situation more terrifying than any nightmare she'd ever had. Her partner, the man she thought she knew, was not a man at all. He was something monstrous, something unimaginable. The chilling realization had turned her world upside down. In the quiet hours of the night, while the creature she once loved slept, Sarah began to formulate a plan. She knew she had to leave, not just for her sake, but for the sake of everyone around her. She couldn't let this creature continue to masquerade as a man, duping the innocent and unsuspecting. Sarah began to gather evidence, careful not to disturb the creature. She collected the strange items she'd found, the oddities that had first alerted her to the creature's true nature. She snapped photographs, captured videos, and took careful notes. Each piece of evidence was like a piece of a terrifying puzzle. A puzzle that, when assembled, revealed a picture of a creature that was a far cry from the man she thought she knew. But she had to be cautious. She couldn't let the creature know that she was on to him. The consequences of that were too horrifying to contemplate. As Sarah went about her days, she put on a brave face, acting as if nothing was amiss. But inside, she was a tempest of fear and anxiety. Every moment was a struggle to maintain her composure, to keep the creature unsuspecting. She knew she couldn't do this forever. She had to act, and soon. The danger was mounting with each passing day. The creature was growing bolder, more confident in its disguise. It was only a matter of time before it decided to reveal its true nature to the world. Sarah made her decision. She would leave tonight. While the creature slept, she would slip away, taking her evidence with her. She would expose the creature for what it truly was. She would save herself and everyone else from the monster that lurked among them. Tonight was the night. She was going to escape. As the sun set, Sarah put her plan into action. The waning light of the day highlighted the determination etched on her face. She had one chance, one shot to break free from this nightmare. Gathering every ounce of courage, she made her move, her heart pounding like a drum in her chest. Each step was a silent prayer, a plea to the universe to grant her safe passage. But life, as she'd come to understand, was rarely that straightforward. The universe had one final twist in store for her. She hadn't anticipated this unforeseen hurdle that stood between her and freedom. It was as if fate itself was playing a cruel game with her. Her heart froze, her breath hitched, and her hope wavered, teetering on the brink of despair. The chilling question hung in the air, a spectral echo that seemed to resonate with her deepest fears. Just as she reached for the door, a chilling voice echoed behind her. "Where do you think you're going, Sarah?" Y'all, we're wrapping up here, but don't you go anywhere just yet. Show some love, hit that like button. Fancy more content like this? Go on, subscribe and let that bell icon ring so you won't miss a beat. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, sharing is caring. Until next time, stay tuned.